Welcome back. All right, so this is going to be a pretty big review because all 12 games that were played today are going to be reviewed now. I would have reviewed the early games earlier, but everything overlapped. There really wasn't a chance for me to review anything. So here we are. All right, so we're going to start things off looking at the New York Rangers and the Dallas Stars, which is where this journey started about 25 hours ago. The New York Rangers, Shesterkin against Ottinger, the Rave jerseys being worn by Dallas. Always appreciate when they're being worn. And a minute and 9 seconds in on a turnover on their first shot, Marchman makes it look easy. Tyler Seguin with the assist. It's 1-0 Dallas. The Stars would press at 2 minutes. Fox with a net feed that was blocked. The Stars rushed the other way. The shots are 4-2 for Dallas at 6 minutes. Rangers press at 6.5 minutes, and there's some pushing after a save there. Gurianov hits the side of a net on the rush, and then Kreider ties it up. He scores from Kakko and Schneider at 8:41, and it's a rebound, and the Rangers start getting some momentum from that. There was a post, though, for Robertson, and then the Rangers get a power play on the next play. Trocheck has a shot that's blocked. That power play's killed off. The Rangers press with 6 minutes left. The Stars get a power play. It doesn't last. 21 seconds later, it becomes a 4-on-4. 17.1 seconds left. Igor Shesterkin takes a hit. Dellandrea, just being careless coming through the crease, clips him. And so the Rangers didn't forget this the rest of the game, and nor should they. Again, it was just a careless play by Dellandrea. So he goes to the box, and the Rangers have a power play, and he takes a couple of punches before he goes to the box. So the Rangers have a minute and 42 seconds left of a power play to start the second period. They would score. Trocheck scores on the power play from Zibanejad at 59 seconds. It's a one-timer buried high. No chance for Ottinger on that one. Rope Hintz would tie it, however, from Pavelski and Robertson at 1:28. He buries the rebound, so it makes it 2-2. Rangers go back to the power play. Really undisciplined game for Dallas at this point. There was a crossbar for Lafreniere. The power play is killed off. Kreider was denied from the slot. Things get kind of punchy after a hold by Igor, and this is where Ottinger takes himself out of the game. So I'm not sure what happened, and we'll see. You know, we'll all get into this later. I didn't watch any of the news or anything because, again, all the games overlapped, so there'll be a big news video tomorrow is my guess. But Wedgwood was in at 6:23, and this is where we're getting 2 minutes of 4-on-4 as well. Igor holds on to a Miller rush chance. Rangers press at the half. Lafreniere's denied in close. Kravtsov goes down on a hit. He was bleeding. He does get back up. He did exit for repairs. The Rangers, they press. They draw another power play. They score on this one as well. So this was a problem for Dallas today, taking way too many penalties. Zibanejad scores it from Panarin and Kreider at 14:18. Good cycle by the Rangers, and it's buried by Zibanejad. Stars get a power play. That's killed off. Dellandrea was in the middle of some stuff again later on in the period. But before the period's out, Robertson makes it a tie game again. He scores from Pavelski at 18:46 right off of a face-off win. So it's tied going into the third. Third period, Kravtsov, they announced, this is where Kravtsov was announced he wouldn't be returning. Ottinger was on the bench, so he would have been good enough to go in if something happened to Wedgwood, but he wasn't good enough to go in instead of Wedgwood to start the third period. Stars press at 3 minutes. Robertson scores, but it's offside. There was a lot of that today. Trouba's denied on a net drive. Kreider then had a rush chance. That was broken up. The Stars press with 9 minutes left, but it's Zach Jones with his first NHL goal from Trocheck and Gauthier at 11:17. And then Gauthier, as he's fallen down, he scores from Blais and Jones at 11:37. So Zach Jones with a goal and an assist. That should keep him in the lineup. And I'm kind of surprised Ottinger didn't go in the net at this point. And then Trocheck would score from Fox and Lafreniere during a delayed penalty on what was the sixth shot of the period for the Rangers at 13:25. With 3:04 left, the Stars get a power play. That was killed off. There's another Stars power play to close it out. It's unsuccessful, of course. Your final score is 6-3 for the Rangers. They do salvage what had been a rough week. They go to 4-3-2 with the win for the Stars. Tough loss. 5-3-1 is the record now. The shots 10-7 Dallas in the first, 15-13 Dallas in the second. 8-7 Dallas in the third. Final shots 33-27 for the Stars. Power plays the Rangers 2 for 5. Dallas 0 for 4. Hits 18-13 Rangers. Shesterkin saves 30 out of 33. Ottinger saved 8 out of 10. Wedgwood saved 13 out of 17. So for Dallas, we'll see whether or not Ottinger's ready to start their next game. That'd probably be good if he was. Next up, the Ottawa Senators in against the Florida Panthers. So, it's Forsberg versus Knight in this one. Early press by the Panthers. The shots are 3-1 in their favor at 4.5 minutes. Forsberg had been good. And then Verhaeghe. He wires one top corner from Tkachuk and Montour at 7:59, I should say. The Sens try to answer. Panthers with a rush. That draws them a power play, and they score on it. It's Barkov with his first of the season from Tkachuk at 11:54, and he fired it blocker side. So it's 2-0 in favor of Florida. Panthers press for another. It is all Panthers. I cannot state enough about how it's all Panthers. Really. Mott gets hurt and exits. Kelly versus Gudas was a pretty brief fight to the point where it was only considered two for roughing for each. The Panthers end up going back to the power play. That was killed off with 42.7 seconds left. The Senators get a power play, so that rolls over into the second period where they score. And it's Pinto on the power play from Giroux and Sanderson at 37 seconds. That's his 6th goal already, so he's continued to have a remarkable season. Panthers press for an answer, but it's Brady Tkachuk that actually ties up the game. He scores from Batherson at 3:23. He wired that one on a rush. The shots at this point, 30-8 in favor of Florida. So 2 goals on 38 shots or 2 goals on 30 shots at one end, 2 goals on 8 shots at the other. Panthers again look to answer. The Sens score was a goalie interference. On the review, it states, yes, it was goalie interference, no goal. The shots are 6 apiece at 6.5 minutes. The Panthers go to the power play. Things get kind of pushy after a hold by Forsberg. Mott was denied on a shorthanded break, so he did return to the game. That power play is killed off. White has a rush chance that's defended. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 shortly after that. DeBrincat has a tip chance that saved. The Sens press with 7 minutes left. We had a fight between Kastelik and Lomberg. That one didn't last very long either. Brady Tkachuk tips one wide. The Sens with some momentum. Things get pushy after another hold by Forsberg. So a lot of post-whistle stuff going on from both teams here. Mark Stahl's denied, and then Giroux at the other end was denied after. So on the same play, both goaltenders making great plays. And then Verhaeghe restores the lead for Florida. He scores the second of the game from Montour and Barkov at 19:23, post and in, and it was a rebound where he scores it. Things get punchy at the horn, and Kastelik's involved because, yeah, of course he's involved. Third period. We have 2 minutes of 4-on-4 to start because of the punching at the horn. DeBrincat falls pretty heavily. It becomes a 4-on-3 Sens power play as a result. He was okay. He got up and skated off, but it looked kind of scary at the time. Stützle has a shot that's blocked. DeBrincat then has an opportunity that's saved. It's killed off. That was the one shot, was DeBrincat's. Pinto's denied from the slot. Then there's a power play for the Panthers. That was killed off. Tkachuk has a net feed that's blocked. Matthew Tkachuk scores, but it's offside. So offside goals all around today. Forsling has a shot blocked. The Sens clear. And then Holden, who's in the lineup because Zub's out, he scores from Mott at 11:56. The Sens press with 5.5 minutes left, but on a bar down shot from the slot, Florida gets the lead back. It's Montour from Barkov at 16:28. So the goaltender gets pulled with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. Sens call a timeout with 1:28 left. What ends up happening? Matthew Tkachuk gets the empty netter from Lundell at 19:46. So the Tkachuk brothers doing a good job of one-upping each other. Your final score is 5-3. Florida wins this first round of this battle. They go to 5-3-1 in the season. Ottawa drops to 4-4 with the loss. So again, we got a lot of teams around 500, at 500. I love the standings right now. I know there's people that don't, but I think it's great. The shots, Ottawa needs to get better at preventing this. 26-4 in favor of Florida in the first. 21-13 Florida in the second. 10-9 Florida in the third. The final shots, 57-26. I think 57 shots equals a team record that's been allowed by Ottawa. Your power plays 1 for 2 for Ottawa, 1 for 4 for Florida. The hits, 39-30 for Ottawa. Forsberg saves 52 out of 56. Knight saves 23 out of 26. So Forsberg was fantastic. If not for him, this game would have been much more lopsided. Last one on this board is Tampa Bay and San Jose. This was the last of the matinee games. Vasilevsky versus Reimer, and neither goaltender had the start they would have wanted. First, it's Hedman from point at 32 seconds. First shot by Tampa. And then the first shot for San Jose goes in. Erik Karlsson at 1:22 scores to tie it up. And Karlsson continues what's been a remarkable start offensively to his season. Plus minus is ugly, but it's been a really good start for him offensively. So that's his 5th goal already. Then there's a good back and forth, without many shots on net, but good back and forth between these teams. Hagel's denied and close. The Sharks press at 8.5 minutes. Points denied on a rush. The Bolts press. Hedman's hurt. And then unrelated on that play, the Bolts come out with a power play. Killorn's denied, but then Colton was not. He scores 4 seconds after the power play ends from Killorn and Hagel at 13:44. The Sharks get a power play. That was killed off. No shots for San Jose on that power play either. Hedman returns. Meyer had a wraparound chance. That was blocked. The Bolts press with a minute and a half left. But after one period, Tampa Bay's up on the road 2-1. Second period. Carlson's denied. Bolts clear it out. Pressed by the Bolts at 2 minutes. Cunnin was denied on a rush. And then Nico Sturm wires it on a rush. He's got 5 goals already this year from Cunnin and Vlasic at 5:36. And really during this road trip, Tampa just hasn't looked like Tampa. And that goal to me just didn't feel like the kind of goal that you would normally see the Tampa Bay Lightning allowing. So the shots are 6-2 for the Sharks at 7 minutes, which is also not very like Tampa here. The Bolts press with 8.5 minutes left. There was a post for Nick Paul. The game slows down, and I thought that should favor the Sharks. There was more whistles, not as much free-flowing play, and I thought, that could favor San Jose. However, Chernak's denied from the slot, and then Killorn. Killorn scores through Reimer. It was a 2-on-1 from Paul and Chernak at 18:41. So Tampa Bay has a 3-2 lead after 2 periods. Third period, Lindblom can't bury one in close. The Sharks press at 3.5 minutes. That press then draws a power play for San Jose as well. And at 4:34, it took 5 seconds. Yeah, Erik Karlsson gets the second of the game and 6th of the season from Meyer and Hertl. So, tie game. Bolts press at 6.5 minutes, but the shots are 4-1 San Jose at 8 minutes. Koepke has a rush chance that's held at the half. 7:29 left. San Jose gets a power play. Myers denied. That power play's killed off. With 3:48 left, the Bolts get a power play, and that was killed off. But before the period's out, before we can get to overtime, Kucherov ruins the party. He scores from Hagel and Point at 19:03, and I just put the 4 on the board expecting overtime, and I didn't need it. Kucherov gets it. It was a beautiful cross-ice pass by Hagel, who had taken a fantastic pass by Point, and then it's buried. The Sharks call a timeout. They're unable to come up with a plan here that gets them a goal. Tampa Bay wins this one 4-3. They go to 5-4. They've got to feel glad to be at 5-4 considering their play lately. San Jose sadly drops to 3-8, and I say sadly because, the game was right there. They just could not take it. The shots were 11-6 Tampa in the first, 9-8 San Jose in the second, and 12-7 San Jose in the third. Final shots 27-26 San Jose. Power plays Tampa Bay 0-2, San Jose 1-3. Hits 21-16 Tampa Bay. Vasilevsky saves 24-27. Reimer saves 22 out of 26. So, good game for San Jose, but they lost it, and that seems to be the case often lately. That being said, I need to change boards. All right, so Carolina in against Philadelphia, and what do you know? These two teams are fighting it out for first place in the Metro. It's early in the season, but here we are. It was Ronta versus Hart in this one. Sedlak had a net drive that was saved. Now, Sedlak had a really good game tonight. Svechnikov fires one wide. The Canes cycle it. Stastny couldn't bury one. The power play that the Canes get is killed off. It was goalie interference for Sedlak that caused the power play as well. Forgot to mention that. And then Stahl opens the scoring. He gets the goal from Pesce and Shea at 5:27. The Flyers would then get a power play. There was a lot of power plays in this game. Passed a lot and near miss there. That power play's killed off. The Canes go back to the power play. That was also killed off. There's a press by the Canes. Hart holds on. We get some pushing after. And then Martinuk at 15:04 makes it 2-0 Carolina from Fasted Stahl. And it was a really strong forecheck that set that up. Things get scrummy after a hold by Hart. I think that's Eric Stahl, too, with the secondary assist there. Should have specified. Burns and D'Angelo both go to the box, which seemed, odd, since one replaced the other on Carolina. The Canes get a third power play as well, and that's killed off. So after one period, it's 2-0 for the Canes. Second period. Flyers get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are only 1-0 for the Flyers at 5 minutes. So it's a pretty quiet first 5 minutes. And at 5:14, it gets a little noisier. Delorier with his first goal as a Flyer from Sedlak and Allison. So there's Sedlak on the board with an assist. The Flyers go back to the power play, and they score on it. At 7:18, she almost rolled off. I almost said, Mike, do I have to catch her? At 7, she has fallen off of there many times. 7:18, Owen Tippett scores on the power play from Konechny and D'Angelo. So that ties up the game at 2. The Flyers then look for the lead. The Canes end up getting a power play. Post for COL-NYI. That's killed off. COL-NYI's got nothing but bad luck early in the year. Another Flyers power play. That's killed off. Another Flyers power play as well. Konechny couldn't bury one. Ronta holds. That's killed off. So the Flyers are now 1 for 5. And then they were almost done getting power plays. Third period. It takes till 6:09, but the Flyers actually get the lead. So being down by 2 goals is not a problem for this year's Flyers under John Tortorella. Allison scores from Sedlak and Delorier. So Sedlak with 2 points, Delorier with 2 points. I didn't see that coming. Allison with 2 points as well. The shots are 5 apiece at 7.5 minutes. Shea gets sandwiched between 2 players along the boards. He was fine. Slavin has a screenshot. That's held. 4:53 left. The Flyers get a power play. The Canes really don't let them set up that 6th power play. They kill that off. And then at 17:55, all by himself, Marty Necas gets an unassisted goal to tie the game. We are going to overtime. In overtime, the Flyers controlled early. Ronta saves. The Canes controlled. It feels like this year the overtimes are different. The teams are just playing like normal rather than cycling the puck and waiting and waiting and waiting. Now they're just going down, taking the shot. The other team gets the puck, goes down, takes a shot. It's almost like a real hockey game. Svechnikov misses one high. Teravainen has a shot that's held, but then Burns made no mistake. He blasts it. That one, it could have gone right through the net. Aho and Necas with the assists at 4:06. And so in overtime, Carolina wins this one 4-3. They go to 5-2-1 with the win. With the overtime loss, Philadelphia drops to 5-2-1. They are tied. And this is a fun one. So your shots are 12-9 Carolina in the first, 11-8 Carolina in the second, 10-9 Philly in the third. In the overtime, Carolina wasn't being denied. They outshoot the Flyers 6-2. Final shots 38-29 for Carolina. Power plays, Carolina 0 for 4, Philadelphia 1 for 6. Hits were 28-27 for Carolina. Ronta saves 26 out of 29. Hart saves 34 out of 38. So, yeah, I mean, for Philadelphia, this isn't the result they wanted, but they're competitive. They came back. They came from behind. They were down 2-0 after 1. This is a different team than last year. Next up, Chicago in against Buffalo. Speaking of teams that are different than last year, both of these teams seem to be. We'll go through why. It was Soderblom versus Anderson. Hey, Soderblom looked good tonight. So Sabres get a power play. The Hawks don't let them set up, so that's killed off. So the Sabres go back to the power play. The Sabres score, but it's offside, so that's another offside goal tonight. There would have been so many goals without the offside review tonight. Glass gets broken then, so there's a delay. So during that same power play where Olofsson had scored, Olofsson gets it back anyways, which threw me off completely because I had switched from that game, went back, and I'm like, but wait a minute, that goal got taken off. No, Olofsson scores from Middlestad at 6:19, so that one counted. Reese Johnson's then denied. Anderson holds there. The Hawks get a power play. The Hawks score was a goal interference. It's challenged. It counts. So the Hawks go on the power play. The power play goal that started this was Entwistle from Dickinson and Caleb Jones at 10:20. There was a shorthanded rush. Cousins couldn't bury there, but they did kill that off. So could have been worse, right? Hawks press with 5.5 minutes left. There was a last-minute press by the Sabres, but after one, it's a 1-1 game. Second period. Sabres had the early jump. There was a press by the Sabres at 4 minutes. Dahlin goes beast mode. He was denied there. But then Lafferty. What is it with Sam Lafferty this year? All of a sudden, he's scoring a bunch of points and goals. He scores from McCabe and Seth Jones at 4:49. And then Taylor Radish gives them the lead. He scores from Kurashev and Taves at 6:20. Dahlin had a rush chance that was blocked. Okposo had a rush chance that was saved. So again, Soderblom making some saves here. Sabres press with 5.5 minutes left. With 3.5 seconds left, there's too many Sabres on the ice. How does that happen so late in the period? So Chicago gets the power play. But again, I was thinking, with 3.5 seconds left, they had too many men on the ice? Weird. So, or at least that late in the period, you wouldn't think there'd be a sloppy line change. Third period, shorthanded Gergenson's rush. He fires high, but that did help to kill off the rest of that penalty. Athanasiou has a rush that's defended. The shots are 2-0 for the Hawks at 5 minutes. And it takes until 11:55, but Tage Thompson breaks through. He scores from Okposo and Skinner, and so that makes it a 3-2 game. His Lafferty gave them the lead, and Radish made it 3-1. I'll get it. The counting, I'll catch up. 6:48 left. The Hawks get a power play. There was a shorthanded Okposo net feed, near miss there. Power had a shorthanded opportunity that deflects out. Taves has a rush chance that's defended, but then Tage Thompson gets the second goal of the period, ties it up from Skinner and Okposo, same guys who assisted on the other one at 16:47. Then with 1:07 left, the Sabres get a power play. So that rolls over into overtime. Sabres won the faceoff, so they were in control, and they would score on the power play. It's Olofsson from Thompson and Dahlin at 36 seconds. Yeah, so the Buffalo Sabres win this one 4-3 in overtime. They go to 5-3 on the season. The Chicago Blackhawks 4-3-1 on the season, and again, compared to what was expected of Chicago, that's not bad. So the shots are 16-6 Buffalo in the first, 17-15 Chicago in the second, 13-3 Buffalo in the third. Just the one shot in the overtime shot for Buffalo. That's the one that matters. Final shot's 45-26. For the Sabres, power plays Chicago 1 for 4, Buffalo 2 for 3. The hits were 11-7 for Chicago. Soderblom saves 41 out of 45. Again, he played well. Anderson saves 23 out of 26. And so, yeah, Buffalo, they survive a little bit of a scare there, don't they? All right, next up. Detroit at home against Minnesota. So this was a fast game. This one was over way sooner than all the other games started at the same time. It was Gustafsson versus Husso. The early jump was for the Wild, and at 1:28 on a rush, Kaprizov scores from Zuccarello, and all I could think was, this could be ugly. This could be like Minnesota wants to get above 500 and poor Detroit. Well, the shots are 6-2 for Minnesota at 5 minutes. So there's nothing telling me that, yeah, this is going to be, a big game for Detroit. I figured Minnesota had this. And Kaprizov nearly had another one before the half. The shots evened up, though, by the time we got to the half. Then there's a post for Larkin on a rush. But before the period's out, Raymond, who's been cold, he gets on the board. He scores from Ernie and Larkin at 16:51. And it was a good press that set it up, and nice to see Raymond on the board. It is 1-1 after 1. Second period. Early press by the Wild. Soderblom then had a wraparound. That was saved. The Wings get a power play. That's killed off. Just the one shot. The Wild get a power play. Kaprizov has a shot that's blocked. There's a shorthanded rush by Larkin that's defended. And it's killed off. And then Gustafsson holds onto a puck that leads to some pushing and shoving. Good back and forth with 3 minutes left. With 1:09 left, the Wings get a power play. Now, the Wild initially didn't let them set up. And they didn't get anything going until late. But it doesn't matter. They score on that power play. It's Raymond from Kubalik and Larkin at 19:55. So right as the period's about to come to an end, Detroit goes up 2-1. Third period, early chances for the Wild. Luff takes a puck to the mouth. That didn't look pleasant. Hopefully he's okay. Kaprizov goes beast mode after a turnover, but unable to get to the net on that. A net feed then to Kopp was defended. The shots are 5-0 for the Wild at 5 minutes. The Wild were playing quite well. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Halfway through the period, the Wings are held to one shot. And honestly, they didn't get a shot in the second half of the period. Goalie pull with 2:05 left. Suter beats out an icing, which is probably the most exciting thing if you're a Detroit fan that happened in that third period was Suter beating out the icing call so that Minnesota has to come up the ice with so little time left. But Detroit holds on. They win this one 2-1. It's not the prettiest, but the wins are wins. They go to 4-2-2 with the win. Minnesota, frustrating loss. They drop back to below 500 at 3-4-1. The shots in this one, 15-14 Detroit in the first, 9-7 Detroit in the second, 10-1 for Minnesota in the third. Final shots 31-25 for the Wild. Power plays Minnesota 0-1, Detroit 1-2. Hits 35-25 for Detroit. Gustafsson saves 23 out of 25. Husso saves 30 out of 31. So Ville Husso played pretty well, which is interesting because over here you've got Binnington at home against Montreal. And so, yeah, St. Louis and Montreal, this game was bonkers. It's Allen versus Binnington, early press by the Blues, and Allen was sharp early. The goalies didn't stay sharp throughout this game, but hey, so early it looked like it was going to be good. The Blues pressed at 6 minutes. Tyler Pitlick missed the net on a 2-on-1. Then Shen opens the scoring for St. Louis. He scores from Kyrou and Falk at 7:47. The Blues then press for another, so things are going well for St. Louis. However, Armia fires high in a rush, and eventually Montreal ties it. It is Suzuki from Harrison Caulfield at 15:08, and it was a beautiful tip on a point shot. No chance for Binnington there. Blues press for an answer with 32.9 seconds left. The Habs get a power play. They committed this game 1 for 24. So, not great numbers coming into this one. Second period, Caulfield couldn't bury one in close. That power play would be killed off, and then St. Louis gets the lead back at Chichari. from Tyler Pitlick. Krug with the other assist at 5:10. And the shot, 6.5 minutes into the period, are 3-1 for St. Louis. So again, I'm thinking, all right, well, St. Louis, who had won 3 in a row, lost 3 in a row after that. Well, this is their bounce back game. It's Montreal. It's understandable. That being said, Blues would get a power play, and 7 seconds into it, they score to go up 3-1. It's Kyrou from Falk at 9:38. There you go. This game's all salted away. But it's not, because Marty St. Louis, the kind of hockey that he likes to coach, we all love to watch, don't we? It's Caulfield from Suzuki at 10:56. It was on a rebound, rush chance. Caulfield just absolutely buries it. He makes it look really easy. He does. So the Habs, they get a power play, and they score on it. It's Slavkovsky from Weidman and Gallagher at 13:05. And then they go back to the power play. They score on that one, too, at 15:46. It's Caulfield from Suzuki and Dak. So Kirby Dach's on the board with an assist. Suzuki, Caulfield did. This is interesting. 2:34 left. The Blues get a power play. Montreal kills that off. So going into the third period, this is a bonkers game of 4-3 being the score for Montreal. And early in the third, on a Falk turnover, Dvorak from Dach gets a goal at 41 seconds. And there you go. Montreal's up by a couple. And then he scored. They had to check to see if it was a high stick. It was not a high stick. So Dvorak gets a second goal at 1:21. So 40 seconds later, he scores again. Anderson and Harris with the assists there. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. During the 4-on-4, Tarasenko answers. He scores from Thomas at 2:47. So that makes it 6-4. But again, knowing it's Montreal and knowing that they play this wide open style, that still makes things a little more tense, right? Well, Dach fires one wide on a rush. Eventually, the goaltender does get pulled with 3 minutes left. That allows Dvorak to get the goal and get a hat trick. So congratulations to Dvorak on a hat trick. Monahan and Allen with the assists at 18:25. So Jake Allen on the board. Montreal wins this one 7-4. Wasn't pretty, but they're 5-4 on the season. They're above 500. For St. Louis, they're 3-4 with the loss. That's a tough one. Your shots are 10-6 St. Louis in the first, 11-9 Montreal in the second, 11-8 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 30-25 for St. Louis. Power plays Montreal 2 for 3. So that'll fix their special teams a little bit. St. Louis went 1 for 2. The hits 28-16 for St. Louis. Allen saves 26 out of 30. Binnington saves 18 out of 24. So not great numbers from Binnington. We'll see if he bounces back next game, right? All right, next up, Toronto in against the LA Kings. And it was Samsonov versus Peterson, and it was the Bieber jerseys against the beautiful Cylon helmet-wearing third jersey, throwback jerseys for LA. I thought it made for a nice-looking game. It was definitely something different. I didn't know they were going to wear the Bieber jerseys again this year. They didn't wear them inside out, though. I was kind of disappointed they didn't come out for the second period and wear them inside out. Commit to the inside out jerseys, people. So, Leafs with some turnovers early, and that's costing them on the shot clock. The shots are 5-0 for LA at 4.5 minutes. The Kings get a power play. That was killed off. Marner fires one wide as the Leafs press. The Leafs go to the power play, and they score on it. It's Tavares from Nylander and Marner at 10:45. He buries that one in close. Good news, right, if you're an LA fan there, or a Toronto fan there, sorry. 1-0 Toronto on that one. Marner then misses one wide on a rush. Edler has a shot that's held as they're pressuring. 2:11 left. The Leafs go back to the power play. Nylander has a shot that's blocked. That's killed off. We go to the second period. Toronto ahead 1-0. A goal line hold by Samsonov early on in the period. Kings get a power play. Kempe was denied. He wasn't denied his next opportunity. He would score that power play goal from Fiala and Kopitar at 3:03. Kampf then had a net feed that set up a press for Toronto. The Kings, though, they get another power play. They score on this one as well. It's Arvidsson from Danault at 9:03. So suddenly, LA's got a lead. The Leafs then press. They're kept to the outside. But at 14:40, LA scores again. It's Gabe Vilardi from Kopitar and Durzi. So Vilardi keeps up this red-hot start he's been off to. And it's suddenly 3-1 for the Kings. And it was a good press that set up that goal as well. The Leafs press for an answer. Eventually they get it. Engvall, who was guilty of a turnover earlier, he scores from Kampf and Giordano at 16:58. And then the Leafs press to tie. So with how wildly unpredictable the Kings have been, and the fact Cal Peterson's in net, well, you can't breathe easy at this point, right? If you're a Kings fan. 40 seconds left, the Kings go to the power play. So that rolls over into the third, where the Leafs do finish the kill. But then Kevin Fiala at 2 minutes and 11 seconds scores the fourth goal for the Kings. They're suddenly up 4-2 on the Leafs. The Leafs get a power play. That's killed off. The Kings get another power play. Arvidsson couldn't bury one in close. That power play is killed off. Krall had a shot that was held. He was called into action for Toronto because all the defensemen are hurt. Thought he played all right. He had some good shots there in the third period. 5:04 left. The Leafs get a power play. It quickly becomes a 4-on-4 as Matthews goes to the box. And, of course, they cut to his parents in the crowd who didn't look happy. Did they expect them to applaud that their kid was going to the box? Anyways, so Nylander's denied from the slot. They pull the goalie with 1 minute and 33 seconds left. They're not going to get 2 goals. They don't get the 1. The Kings win this one 4-2. They even their record at 5-5. Toronto, a disappointing 4-4-1 at this point in the season. The shots 9-6 LA in the first, 11-9 LA in the second, 13-9 Toronto in the third. Final shots 29-28 for the Kings. Power plays, the Leafs 1 for 4, LA 2 for 6. Hits 22-18 for Toronto. Samsonov saved 25 out of 29. He was better than that number would tell you. But Peterson was very good. 26 saves on 28 shots. His best start of the young season. Absolutely. Maybe this is a sign he's ready to turn things around. That being said, I need to change boards. It was quite the week for the Islanders, wasn't it? So the Islanders at home against Colorado. Colorado is a team, too, that they just don't look like... And both Colorado and Tampa are going through this. They just don't look like themselves. It's Georgiev versus Varlamov in this one. The Islanders are throwing hits early, and they're getting more shots. They outshoot the Avs 4-2 in the first 8.5 minutes. Now, the Avs would press at 9.5 minutes. McKinnon has a net drive. That's saved. Wahlstrom fires one wide on a rush. Palmieri with a wraparound. That was held. Clutterbuck with a crossbar in close. The Islanders get a power play. That's killed off. There was a late power play for the Avs. So 1 minute and 16 seconds of power play time for Colorado. Rolls over into the second period, and they score. It's Rodriguez from Rantanen and Lehkonen at 46 seconds. It was a great pass by Rantanen and a one-timer by Evan Rodriguez, who seems to be getting things going for Colorado now. The Avs get another power play. That's killed off. Then the Islanders, they get a power play as well. That was killed off. Bailey couldn't bury one right after, and then the puck goes the other way, and Rantanen, who had been in the box, breakaway, the pass from Manson at 7:28, and it's a goal. So it's 2-0 for Colorado. And then at 8:33, it gets worse. Rodriguez scores the second goal of the period from McKinnon and Taves. So all I could think was, all right, so I guess they got this figured out. So that was deflected in by Rodriguez. The Islanders call a timeout, and whatever Lane Lambert discussed during that timeout was brilliant. The shots are 8-5 for the Avs at 9.5 minutes, but at 9:53, Dobson gets the Islanders on the board from Romanov and Wahlstrom. And the Islanders had momentum after that goal. Bailey almost gets one there. Palmieri has a chance to block. Things get shovey with 11.5 seconds left. But early in the third, at 3:55 or 3:35, I should say, Zach Parise scores to make it 3-2 from Pajot and Pulock. And the shots 5 minutes into the period are 7-5 for the Islanders. So it's a shooting gallery at both ends of the ice. The Avs press at 5.5 minutes. Newhook was denied on a rush. He's not allowed a goal. Fans call one, the ref doesn't, but not long after, the Islanders do end up getting a power play. That was killed off. Heavy press by the Islanders at the half. Multiple shifts of pressure, and it pays off. Mayfield scores from Barzal and Cizikas at 10:39. And then just that weakness for Colorado shows up again. Beauvillier scores from Lee at 10:56. Suddenly, the Islanders have a lead. The Islanders were down 3-0 about halfway through this game. And at 9:53 of the second, Dobson gets them on the board. And then we're looking at Beauvillier putting them ahead at 10:56 of the following period. That was a 2-on-1, and he wired it. The Avs press with 6.5 minutes left. They'd end up pulling the goaltender. Brock Nelson hits the empty net at 18:39 to make it 5-3. They'd pull the goalie again. This time, Newhook gets a goal. 6-on-5 from Rodriguez. And that also, Makar was the other assist there at 19:30. And just the way I put the K up there, I'm like, is that a double L? That's not right. It's Makar with secondary assist at 19:30. That's as close as Colorado gets. They lose 5-4. They dropped to 4-4-1 on the season. For the Islanders, they're 5-4 with the victory. So the Islanders have won 3 in a row. The shots 11-10 Colorado in the first, 13-12 New York in the second, 21-14 for the Islanders in the third. Man, 44-37. So this is not the same Islanders team they had last year. The power plays 1 for 2 for Colorado, 0 for 3 for the Islanders. Hits 26-21 for the Islanders. Georgiev saves 39 out of 43, and Varlamov saves 32 out of 36. Very rare evening where a goaltender for the Islanders has a save percentage below 900 and wins the game. But very impressive. That being said, next up, the Capitals in against Nashville. So there was a lot of goal scoring, and then the later games kind of, that peters out. Peters out a little bit, although the Minnesota-Detroit game didn't have a lot of scoring either. So this one was Kemper versus Saros. Trennan's denied on the first shift. Big hits for both teams early. The shots are 3-1 Nashville at 3 minutes. So since there were 7 games on at the same time at this point, this was the one that was on the computer that I used to record all my videos. The other 6 games I was tracking on TV. Post for Johansson on a rush. There were too many Preds on the ice, so the Capitals get a power play. A shorthanded rush by Smith. That one's fired wide, but they do kill that off. Carlson has a blast that's held. Eller was then denied. Goal line stand by Saros there. Saros was the only reason this game was scoreless at that point. The Caps were all over them. Post then for Duchesne. There was a power play for Nashville. There's post for Yossi, so the posts were busy in this one. The Caps cleared out. That's killed off. So you go to the second period, no score. Johansson's denied early. The Preds press at 4.5 minutes. There's a 3-on-2 by Nashville. That was defended. And then Nashville gets a power play. Jeannot's denied in close. That's killed off. The shots are 6-3 Nashville at the half. The Caps get a power play. It's killed off. But they do get on the board. It's Mallenstein. He scores from Dowd at 12:49. So not guys that you would expect. And it was a nice pass by Dowd to Mallenstein, and he just buries it. Hathaway then fires one wide. Preds get a power play. That's killed off. With 1:59 left, the Caps get a power play. That was killed off as well. So it's only 1-0 going into the third. Early chances for Nashville. They press as well, but the Caps are blocking them out, not giving them much at the net. Shots are 4-2 for Nashville at 5 minutes, but at 6:44, Caps had a good press, and it ends up with a goal for Protas from Sherry and Jensen. So suddenly it's 2-0 for Washington. There's a power play for Nashville. They're fourth. Yossi has a shot that's blocked. Duchesne has one that deflects out. And that's killed off. The fans wanted another call during the power play. They felt that, I think it was Jeannot that got cross-checked in front of the net. Sometimes referees don't call those. That's back. So, yeah, they didn't get that call. Nino then had a rush chance kicked aside. Goalie's pulled with 4 minutes left. That allows Ovechkin to hit the empty net. It's his 4th goal of the season from Orlov at 17:15. With 2:08 left, the Preds get a power play. It becomes a 6-on-4. Yossi has a blast that's held. They did kill it off, and they win it. Your final score is 3-0 in favor of the Capitals. They go to 5-4 with the win. Nashville drops to 3-5-1 with the loss. It has been a tough start to the season for Nashville. Shots are 16-11 Washington in the first, 10 apiece in the second, 13-9 Nashville in the third. Final shots 35-34 for the Capitals. Power plays, Washington 0 for 3, Nashville 0 for 5. Hits were 36-28 for Nashville. Kemper saves all 34 shots for his 26th career shutout. And Saros saves 32 out of 34. He was excellent, just didn't have any goal support. So that's kind of what happens without the goal support. Next up, the Battle of Alberta. This didn't feel quite as intense, especially in the first period. You're waiting for this great intensity of the Battle of Alberta, and it just wasn't there. It was Skinner versus Markstrom in this one. The whole Markstrom redemption thing I've been reading about, and I don't know that this is redemption for him. You guys can let me know, Flames fans, do you feel like this performance redeems him, or that there's still going to be questions the next time they play Edmonton? They only have 1 game left against Edmonton. So strong forecheck by Foegele early on. Dubé then nearly gets one. Rooney misses one wide. He still doesn't have a goal since joining the Flames. Shots are 2 apiece at 7.5 minutes. Lots of almosts, lots of near misses, and block shots are becoming a thing too. Kane fans on a net drive. Huberdeau exits. There was some discussion about whether or not he'd return. He would. But Huberdeau is still finding his feet with Calgary. He really hasn't reached. I saw some glimmers in the third period of hope that he's starting to get this. But yeah, it's been a bit of a learning curve for him. There's a power play for the Oilers. Lucic was upset, did not feel that he committed a penalty on the play. Shorthanded shot by Coleman is held. The power play's killed off. No shots. The dueling chants were going at this point. The dueling chants would crop up a few times during this game of "Let's go Oilers, Oilers suck," because there are enough Oiler fans in attendance in Calgary to make themselves known and to be loud. So Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has a shot that's saved. The Oilers press. The Oilers go back to the power play. There was a shorthanded break for Toffoli. That one saved. Skinner had a fantastic game. Crossbar for Hyman. Power play's killed off. Shore couldn't bury one in the final minute. 32 seconds left. The Flames get a power play. So that rolls over into the second period. There's a shorthanded Draisaitl rush. That's held. The Oilers do finish the kill. Huberdeau ends up hitting the post. So the posts were busy tonight. The Oilers get a power play. During said power play, Backlund gets a shorthanded goal on a rush from Lindholm at 4:29. And then Backlund almost had another right after that. But the puck goes the other way, and Hyman, he gets the power play goal from McDavid and Draisaitl at 5:02. So that's how quickly that can happen. It's almost a shorthanded goal. Nope, it's in our net. Just that quick. Flames get a power play. It then quickly becomes a 4-on-4. Barrie has a shot held as the Oilers press. Everything's killed off. The Flames press at the half. Draisaitl has a rush chance. That was saved. The Flames get a power play with 6:16 left. That's killed off. And then Ritchie puts Calgary ahead. He scores from Lucic and Weegar at 16:06. Great forechecking by Lucic to get that puck out to Ritchie. Lucic had a very good game tonight for Calgary. The momentum was with the Flames as well. Lindholm's then denied on the doorstep. So it's 2-1 Calgary after 2. What could possibly go wrong? Third period. Flames press at 3.5 minutes. Hyman has a rush chance to deflect wide. Draisaitl and a net feed that's held. Lucic has a shot held as the Flames press, but then it happens. Markstrom came out of the net to play it. Didn't touch it. But because he came out of the net to play it, well, now you have to get back in the net. And I remember I had flashbacks to when he was in Vancouver and all the times I would yell at the TV, "Get back in the net, get back in the net." He's not set. McDavid knows he's not set, shoots it at the net, and it goes in. McDavid ties it from Ceci and Holloway, I should say, at 9:02. So that seemed to throw the game into a little bit of chaos. And at 12:24, the Oilers' speed causes the next goal to happen. Their speed was a problem at times for Calgary tonight, and McDavid's speed gets it over to Hyman. Hyman gets that goal, his second of the game, and suddenly it's 3-2 in favor of Edmonton. Calgary fans getting real quiet on that one. And so the Flames press with 3 minutes left. They pull the goalie with 1:20 left. We had the dueling chants going again. The Oilers win this one 3-2. They go to 6-3 with the victory. The Flames drop to 5-2 with the loss. Your shots in this one: 8-7 Edmonton in the first, 21-12 Calgary in the second, 14-5 Calgary in the third. Final shots: 42-25 for Calgary. Power plays: Edmonton 1 for 4, Calgary 0 for 3. Hits were 31-29 for Calgary. Skinner saves 40 out of 42. He was fantastic. Markstrom saves 22 out of 25. And I don't know that the narrative with Markstrom really changes. Although, again, really it was one of those things where he probably should have stayed in the net. And yeah, these things can happen. And again, with Markstrom, I remember in Vancouver, stay in the net. Ah, nuts. All right, last game of the night, Pittsburgh against Seattle. I can only assume that this disastrous road trip is because of where I had them on the power rankings last week. It's the only explanation I can come up with. So it was DeSmith versus Jones. Gensel making his return to the lineup. Pettersson has a blast that's saved, and the shots are 5-1 for Pittsburgh at 5 minutes. But little did they know, Martin Jones is going to play the best game he's played in years tonight. So Jones was really sharp. Schwartz then had a blast that was saved. Donato had a rush chance that was saved. So once the goaltending bails out Seattle, then Seattle's offense starts to roll. Kraken had some momentum at the half. The Penguins, though, press with 8 minutes left. Wenberg fires one high on a rush. The Penguins press with 1.5 minutes left. Letang then defended a rush by Beniers. It's scoreless after 1. Second period. Shots are 3-1 for the Penguins at 3.5 minutes. Kapanen has a rush chance go wide. Then there's a power play for Seattle. Jaden Schwartz has a net drive that's held. That power play is killed off. Gord has a shot that's kicked aside. Donato scores, but it's offside, so it doesn't count. And then Jake Gensel scores at 10:05 to put Pittsburgh ahead. So instead of Seattle being ahead, it's Pittsburgh. But not for long, because the Kraken, they score. They scored. Yay, they scored. But It's challenged because of a high stick. So because Wenberg touched it with his high stick, the whistle should have gone. So it's no goal. They pulled 2 goals off the board for Seattle. The fans not happy. The first one made them upset. The second one really made them upset. So then Everly scores at 11:20. So this all happens in a few minutes. He scores from Beniers and Schwartz, and I put underneath, does this in count? And I censored myself. It does. It's a goal. It counts. There was no challenge from Sullivan. I was waiting for it. I'm surprised he hasn't challenged this review yet, and I haven't had to start over. But yeah, Pens get a power play. That's killed off. Near miss by Soucy on a rush. Soucy was all over the ice tonight. Pressed by the Penguins with 4 minutes left. But on a 2-on-1 that was set up by Vince Dunn, Geekie gets the goal from Sprong and Dunn at 18:33. Geekie all of a sudden getting goals. So he buries that rebound, and we have a 2-1 lead for Seattle. Pens press. They get a power play with 20.1 seconds left, so that rolls over into the third period. Former Penguin Brandon Tanev had a rush that killed some time. Jones then absolutely robbed Sid the Kid. Like, he robbed Sidney Crosby and helped to finish killing that power play. Paling has a rush chance that's held. Burakovsky then had an opportunity that he fired high. Kraken get a power play. Letang disagrees with that call, much like Lucic did in the Edmonton-Calgary game. Wenberg couldn't bury one. Good cycle by Seattle, but that power play's killed off. Joseph has a shot that's held. There was a post for Heinen on a rush, so a lot of posts on the boards tonight. Malkin has a net drive that's held. Seattle, I thought late in the game, Seattle was too guilty of running around and doing a little bit of puck chasing, and they got away with it. So it's one of those times where you get away with it, but their structure really seemed to fade at points. I was kind of surprised Hackstall didn't call a timeout to discuss it with them, but he didn't. So with 2:07 left, goalie pull. With 1:47 left, the Penguins call a timeout. And then Schwartz hits the empty net from Tanev at 19 minutes. So Seattle wins this one 3-1. They go to 4-4-2 with the win. They're 500 through their first 10 games. That's a successful first 10 games. Pittsburgh 4-4-1. 4 straight regulation losses for Pittsburgh to Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, now Seattle. So it's been a really rough week for Pittsburgh. The shots in this one, 12-9 Seattle in the first, 12-8 Seattle in the second, 15-7 Pittsburgh in the third. Jones really bailed them out. Final shots, 32-30 for Pittsburgh. Power plays, both teams go 0 for 2. Hits, both teams had 25. DeSmith saved 27 out of 29. He was good. I mean, there were the other 2 goals that didn't count, but he was good. And Jones saved 31 out of 32. Excellent game by Jones. These things do happen. I think he came into this game with an .858 save percentage. It's going to be better now. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. I expect there's going to be a lot of audio problems with this when it gets uploaded, because it's 48 minutes. It's a monster. But that happens. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.